And now, please welcome to the stage AnimeRiceFarmer, Site Director of Innovation Incorporated Thermal Plant Division.
Good afternoon and evening to my friends in America. Good night to anyone who dares to stay up for this in Europe. And of course, good morning to my fellow Aussies and anyone here from Asia. And thank you all for joining us at Astral Central 2025. My name is AnimeRiceFarmer, the creator of Innovation Incorporated Thermal Power Plant. And I am joined by my fellow presenters, CodedKryptics and Skyfall Epsilon. It is great to be back here. This is our second year attending the expo. And guess what? We are still promoting the same update for the game. First, I want to thank the Astral Central organizers for putting this together. The amount of coordination required to bring dozens of sci-fi communities into one place is very impressive. If only the employees that ran our facility were as cooperative as that. Thankfully, the team here does a much better job. I would also like to extend a sincere thank you to our in-house development team. We are a small group, most of us working across different time zones, schedules, and occasionally questionable sleep schedules, but they've stayed committed through endless bug reports and having to deal with all my building mistakes. Of course, also a quick shout out to our newest developer, Meister XIT, who has been doing some great work already. The thermal power plant has grown into something larger than anything I would have thought. And it's all because of the joint effort between the developers, our moderators, our testers, and the thousands of players who play the game every day. So thank you. Tonight, we are very excited to share what we've been building, and of course, the premiere of a new trailer for the Thermal Generators update. For those who've played the game, has changed. For the rest of the sci-fi community, it is great to have you here. We are an official game in the Innovation Incorporated community. So, this is our schedule for today, which includes a special premiere coming up, and of course, more information on the generators update. Let's begin by looking back at how far the plant has come, and how it led us to the update we are showcasing today. The thermal power plant started in 2019, in a way that probably won't surprise anyone who's worked on a fan project before. I was bored, and it was my first time playing a game, or making a game. I was waiting around during innovation security trainings, and instead of doing something productive, I opened Roblox Studio and started experimenting. At the time, Innovation Arctic Base already had a very strong identity, so I asked a fairly simple question. What would the opposite of that look like? A geothermal facility inside the volcano felt like the obvious answer. At the time, this felt like a completely reasonable design decision for a 15-year-old me. From the start, the thermal plant took creative liberties with realism. That flexibility gave the project room to experiment and find its own voice within the innovation universe. The facility went through several remasters as we tried to work out what actually worked. There were several early builds for blue lighting and free models, followed by the now infamous orange stage, when everything glowed whether it should have or not. But those iterations mattered. Each version helped us mature my own building style and modernize the game alongside my development skills. Between 2020 and 2021, during the COVID lockdowns, the game grew rapidly. We passed 1 million visits, and by the end of 2021, 3 million. More importantly, that growth brought a community that actively shaped the game. And that's the advice I'll give to any developer here today. It doesn't really matter if you never coded or built anything before. On a platform like Roblox, it's about building a community, recognizing the same faces who stick with your game through iteration after iteration, because iteration is how projects improve. Although, usually after breaking several other things first. And with that approach, and thanks to the many dedicated members, past and present, in our development and moderation teams, the game has grown to over 10 million visits, and along the way, we even managed to earn that all-important official status from the bosses at Innovation. Now, it is time to look more into what everyone wants to know, the Thermal Generators update. We've known for a long time that this is what many of you have been waiting for. The generator sector has been talked about, speculated on, and delayed enough times that it's practically become part of the game's lore. So, without further ado, I present the trailer for the Thermal Generators update.
When we got the contract to renovate this sector, they said it'd take just a few months. Turns out the guy who designed this place used... whatever the opposite of a blueprint is.
Indeed. Whoever built this hot pile of garbage must have been one of the worst construction workers on this planet. Complete idiot, honestly. Who would ever do this?
This is the site director, and I approve this message.
Extreme danger. Irregular energy output spikes detected. Geothermal generators operating at 500% capacity. Danger. Multiple fires detected in Sector B. Geothermal generators. Lockdown activated. Please do not enter the generator room.
This'll be fun.
And of course, that update will come out before GTA 6. So everything you just saw was in-game footage, and I'm sure you're all very excited for what's to come. For the rest of the presentation, we're going to break down what is actually happening under the surface and expand on everything that's coming with the update. I will now hand it over to Coded, who will talk about the visual effects and animations in the update.
Hello, are we on? Okay. Hello, Astral Central! How are we all doing tonight? I'm CodedKryptics, the lead animator and visual effects designer here at IITPP, and I'd like to spend this time presenting some of the new and improved animations and visual effects coming in the Thermal Generators update. I'll start with what I'm good at. When you're creating a character and want to bring it to life, most people settle on simple written dialogue catered to their personality, which may have little quirks like bouts of shouting, or short, not-so-upbeat sentences following a sigh. Sure, the dialogue alone may be enough, but what about movements? I feel like animation is such an important aspect when it comes to character design and writing, as it lets you see that personality in action. With the Thermal Generators update, we're adding 2 new NPCs that shine like stars in the night with their personalities. Meet Oran and Blaine. Oran is a hyper-energetic redhead that's really excited to do his job, though he probably had one too many cups of Innovation's patented coffee, now with extra science. His personality is captured by not only his in-game dialogue, but by his animations as well. He can't stay on 2 flat feet and his arms are swinging back and forth. If he were able, he'd probably jump all over the shelves. As for Blaine, this poor fella seems to have had a rough day. He's got his hands in his pockets, or on his hips, I guess, depending on how you look at it, and just doesn't seem to move much at all. He just kind of stands there, staring at the floor waiting for his shift to end. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the visual effects. Another way to bring out the intention of happenings around your game, whether it be your core melting down or a pipe burst, there's always some kind of visual or particle effect that goes into it. Going off on a little tangent here, did you know that the eruption effect in the update trailer went through multiple revisions before I found something I was satisfied with? You don't have to be perfect on the first try to make something extraordinary. Why do you think we keep revamping parts of our game? The visual effects in the Thermal Generators update aren't limited to the generators themselves. A handful of other effects were revamped too. On screen, you can see the core many players recognize and love. In the Thermal Generators update, the effects on the core have received some tweaks and touch-ups by yours truly. For the lasers, I wanted to make it so that the textures didn't look so static and uniform. So I ended up splitting them into different beams with their own textures, speeds, and colors. The most prominent example is the new power laser effect, excuse me, which utilized 3 different textures. I wanted to make the power lasers look a bit more powerful, which is why you see the small particle-like texture around the edges. Oh yeah, one more thing. Boom! This scientific anomaly has received some new particles as well. A handful of new textures were added and changed, and the accretion disk uses beams to give it some of that extra flair. After the first quality of life update was released, I slowly felt the black hole still felt a bit empty, so recently I decided to take these effects to the next level. I would have included gravitational lensing, but unfortunately the lighting style we use doesn't allow that. Thanks, Roblox. Ending off my little segment here, I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to speak up here on stage and all the managers that run this event as a whole. They all put so much work into this convention, and I'm always awestruck to see so many groups come together to celebrate the wonders of this little community. Now I'll be leaving the microphone to one of our other developers, Skyfall Epsilon, who will be showcasing the new server room on behalf of Raptor.
All right, hello Astral 25. Thank you for joining us at this hour, wherever you may be. Clearly, I'm not Raptor, but I will be filling in for him to discuss our new server room. Shout out to Raptor all the way in the back. Let's go all the way there in the crowd. The server room required a much-needed revitalization and remastering of the older design, as the current one is cramped, boring, and as significant as it is to the game, lacked any initial spectacle. The version found in the live game doesn't reflect its original importance to the lore of IITPP in regards to the ASAS core. It's the thermal plant's equivalent of GLaDOS from the Portal series, as well as the hiding place of secrets buried deep in the thermal plant for those with a keen eye to seek out. While work on the thermal generators progressed, the development of this area started in the background. Its humble beginnings came from a team project between the mods and admins, but was then passed off as a solo project early in its development. This project is a nearly finalized result of Raptor's restructuring of the server room, the ASAS core elevator, and additional new areas to explore. There are three main rooms to this area: the main server room, the maintenance tunnel room, and the ASAS core elevator. The main server room is a 3-story floor plan spanning from the main Sector A hallway all the way down to the maintenance tunnel room. This room will contain interactive elements surrounding communications and information of the facility. The main idea was to introduce mini-events, stuff that would be considered a mild inconvenience to players, but unlike the Magma event or the Warhead event, it does not halt the general gameplay loop. While there's much being considered, the few ideas that have been thrown around are scrambling the core diagnostic screen, scrambling server-wide communications, and faulty server unit and power supply repairs. As for the design itself, the general inspiration was loosely from Pressure's transitional entrance to their server room. In that game, it features a small overhead room before descending down through a set of stairs into an array of data servers to avoid monsters within their halls. The thermal plant's iteration features a similar layout with its own interpretation of this design while fitting in with the rest of the surrounding area. The maintenance tunnel room is an open area directly past the array of server units. This room features a security office for locking down the ASAS core elevator, as well as a tunnel system that has been pitched to connect the storage rooms together in an update past the thermal gens. This room fits in between the server room and the ASAS core. While the area was based on Black Mesa, it did not draw any direct inspiration. Raptor wanted to lean into the thermal plant style, which already takes heavy inspiration from that game. Because in Black Mesa, there would be instances in which Gordon Freeman finds himself in interconnected hallways of a large-scale facility, just to navigate a situation. While a room or set of rooms were not directly referenced, the idea is what is utilized here. The ASAS core elevator is a diagonal lift. The design itself was actually voted on by the testers and moderation team before its development began. This area is meant to be a spectacular display of the ASAS core before entering the area with the triple lockdown doors. This features a seamless transition rather than the teleportation system the current elevator has due to sizing constraints. Raptor carried over the blue pipes used in the current ASAS core elevator and added the idea of heavy machinery and a general industrial look. This iteration will also feature a fire exit for those who want to quickly run up and down the elevator, although it is much more cooler if you actually write the thing down. The main inspiration doesn't really draw from Black Mesa specifically, and while Raptor does know it exists, he opted for something more drawn out of Resident Evil 2's ending boss fight. However, the honorable mentions would be a culmination of Black Mesa and the one and only Q-Surf.
Thank you, Skyfall. One of the quieter but more significant changes in this update is the new storage rooms. For the longest time, the storage rooms were simply there. They existed with no function and had practically no changes since the original facility revamp in 2019. At one point, even I forgot they were there. They were so dated, in fact, that the 2 storage rooms have been closed in the game for some time now, and that's something we want to move away from. The new storage rooms are roughly 4 times larger than before, and they have been restructured to feel larger with 2 distinct levels. The tram stop is now integrated directly into the room, so movement through the area feels more unique. We've also started experimenting with a more maintenance-oriented visual language here. This is a direction you'll see carried forward into other maintenance-heavy areas of the facility. Importantly, we are reinforcing our stance on bringing more interactive gameplay into the facility with these new areas. Fire suppression systems are now functional, which reinforces the idea that these are operational spaces that respond to the state of the facility rather than static backdrops. However, the most significant change is in visual. The new storage rooms introduces the storage cube distribution system, which fundamentally changes how players interact with logistics inside the plant. Players now have an active role in managing dynamically spawning cubes that can be delivered to different areas across the facility. Order boards display requests with tier-based rarities, which means someone will always volunteer for the rare one. This will encourage prioritization rather than simple repetition. Delivery rooms include the newly renamed Alpha and Beta storage rooms, the emergency bunker, and the topside warehouse depot. As the facility expands, this system is designed to scale with it. Future areas such as the upcoming biodome expansion are already being planned with this loop in mind. What makes this system particularly interesting to us is how it integrates with the rest of the facility. Storage cubes aren't isolated tasks. Certain events will now rely on them. For example, mechanical parts can be delivered to restore damaged power lasers after failures, giving players more flexibility for reactor core controls and fewer reasons to panic. It will also play a meaningful role in how to repair the new generators after the fire event. We plan to expand this into other segments and events to help assimilate it more into the existing facility while adding a new layer of gameplay loop. But of course, the most substantial change in this update takes place in the generator room itself. Much like the storage rooms, the thermal generators have not received any changes since the 2019 revamp. It's full of building mistakes, modified free models, and nonsensical design, which do not represent how we want to take the game forward. For the new generators, physically the space has been reworked from the ground up. The generator hall has been expanded vertically, giving it a greater sense of scale and weight. The entire sector has been pushed back to accommodate a completely new control room. For redesigning the generators themselves, I took inspiration from real-world dry steam geothermal systems. This influence carries through not only in how the generators look, but in how the players interact with them. For the first time, players are given direct control over generator behavior. They can change the turbine speed, manage the injector well, and of course, so much more. This introduces a new layer of agency that sits alongside the existing core-oriented gameplay loop. Instead of reacting only to the fire event occurring, the players are now actively shaping the conditions that lead to them. This directly feeds into the new fire event. The likelihood of a fire event is now influenced by an underlying scaled state. As that scale rises, the risk increases. If players stay on top of it, they can keep the facility stable, and if they don't, this is why we don't skip maintenance. Equally important is how the event itself plays out. Previously, resolving a fire was done with a push of a button. That approach didn't reflect our promise to enhance gameplay loops and interactivity within the facility. The new fire event unfolds in stages. Early phases focus on containment, while later stages escalate into wider disruptions, and interruptions and blackouts around the facility. As the situation develops, players are required to engage in multiple tasks. These include activating alternative ventilation systems, responding to interactive puzzles, and repairing affected generator components. This is an area we're continuing to expand. Some mechanics are still being refined, and others are deliberately being held back for future reveals. And that will be all for the presentation segment. We will now open up for questions before something else explodes. This will be a live Q&A, so please send your questions to the respective Q&A channel in the Astral Central Discord. Okay, I will begin. So first we have a question from Cosmos. Why did you choose to pick innovation as who you're developing for and not your own group? So as you might have seen from the presentation, I started this game in 2019 when I was bored with innovation security trainings, when there wasn't that many trainings going on. I was really bored, so I was like, okay, I want to create a fan game. So we did the opposite of Arctic base. We want a volcano thermal power plant. So it started as a fan game. It never was intended to grow as big as it did. So it just grew like that. I didn't really intend to make my own group or anything like that. So, and I'm happy this way. Yeah.
All right. From Frostbite 501, what do magma crystals taste like? Burnt cinnamon.
Your username is a bunch of letters, so I don't know how to pronounce that. DJ, I'll call you DJ, asks, any lore in the game that will be rewritten or added in the Generators update? There will be some small additions here and there, but large-scale lore updates won't happen until after the Thermal Generators update, so stay tuned for that.
Nice. And with a question from Pixelated Science, what do you plan for the future of the geothermal power plant, other than the thermal generators update? So after the thermal generators update, you looked at before, we do want to expand into the biodome sector. A lot of it has been built already, as most people have seen from past reveals, but there's a lot of interactive things, lab experiment stuff that we want to add that will just means that it won't be included in the thermal generators update. So the next update is confirmed to be the biodome labs and advanced machinery.
All right. From Fazbur66, why you decided to pick these? You know what? I just realized I don't even know how to pronounce our own volcano. This specific volcano in Japan for the thermal power plant. The answer is a while back, I want to say, was it 2021, 2020, roughly around then?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there, Anime posted a poll. There were multiple options. There was a reportedly an option that takes place in Italy, and another one for Yellowstone. But yeah, people voted here.
From LegoFan07, is there an exact release date for the Thermal Generators update? There is no solidified release date as of right now, but we are making strides to get a release by early to mid 2026. It really depends on how much work we're able to do.
We have a question from Aviorium. It said, is there any bigger security update planned other than new weapons? Well, we can confirm, not in the Thermal Generators update, but in the future, our staff team is collaborating and working on a new security HQ headed by Next Gen Crabs. So the security HQ is being revamped. We have, obviously, like you said, we have new weapons coming in. We have a brand new sentry system being made by our newest developer, Meister. So new weapons, new security HQ, and obviously with the new security HQ, planning a lot of cool things with that as well.
From Finmistrid, why is what's it called, reactor control so split apart and not in one place/spot? The answer is just so you can explore the place. If we manage to shove everything in one small room, then it doesn't give you any incentive to actually walk around the building. Because, like, while you're walking, you might bump into something you didn't know existed or something that's pretty neat. It's just for the sake of exploration.
From McAfee 2057, are you aware that the game should be called Geothermal Power Plant? At this point, maybe it should be, but Thermal Power Plant has kind of been the solidified name for a while, so I don't think we'll ever change it.
Yeah. We have a question from Elevators. You mentioned interactive puzzles at the end of the keynote. Can you go a little bit more? So what we can reveal about it, it's not completely finished yet, but what we can reveal is that our developer Ashi or Frostbite has been working on it for a while. We do want to make the puzzle system more fun because right now, like we said before in the keynote, it was just a press of a button and the event finished. So we definitely want to be more unique in how the event is resolved. And right now we're looking at upgrading and upgrading the pipe puzzle system. So I'm not I don't remember any from the top of my head any other examples. I know there's a lot out there, but where you have to solve a pipe puzzle is similar to the Warhead, but definitely more interactive, and there's more consequences if you fail, and times things about that as well. So obviously we can't go super in depth. It's still being worked on, but we do promise that we want to make things more unique for that.
From Roblox 1980-2020, do you guys plan on adding vehicles, maybe for travel through the underground volcano part? The answer is a big maybe. Me personally, I am pushing for vehicles to be added, not only just for the exploration of the volcano section, as that is something we do want to go like update to, but also in the sense of Raptor's idea of having a maintenance tunnel system throughout the entire facility that connects the storage rooms together. So that is a possibility, but I can't say for certain yes or no.
Question from Avalon 3683. Will the thermal generators update affect any other events? The event won't affect any of the existing events, but I will say that, of course, the shutdown failure, you saw the new black hole effects during our presentation, and there will also be some new meltdown destruction effects introduced with the update, so you could see that.
We have a question from AXP user 671. How many audio tour guides will there be? So like we mentioned, audio tour guides, we want to add that around the facility to make it a bit more interesting to new users, as well as people that want to learn a bit more about the rooms. So if you want to estimate, it will be one audio tour guide for every major room. So I can, top of my head, there's one for bunker, the storage rooms, core, obviously generator, server room, security HQ, medical room, cafeteria. Every major room there will be an audio tour guide for it. So from there, you can estimate how many there will be.
Another one from Roblox 1980-2020. Does Innovation Inc. still have beef with Urban Shade? Let's see. I still think they have a sniper posted right where I am, so the answer is yes.
Oh. Question from Awake Appled. What new weapons are being added? Nothing in the thermal generators update, unfortunately, but we are planning on adding grenades. You had a new... you had a preview of a new work-in-progress throwable system with the Christmas update with the snowballs, so that will be expanded upon, and, maybe we'll see grenades eventually. That'll shake things up a little bit.
Minute to go, so unfortunately we'll have to end the live Q&A there. We will try to answer any additional questions that was not asked by text in the thread, so keep them going there. But yes, so thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to what comes next. I hope you're all enjoying. I hope you all enjoy the Resonance Awards. Oh, who are these people? What's that? I'm finishing up the presentation here. You're an innovation intelligence agency. No, the warhead stuff wasn't me. You can't drag me off.
Hey, what's
I was
going on?
framed.
Hey, wait, come back!